Right now, one country is sitting on the biggest debt in human history, and nobody's panicking. Countries have collapsed at way less than this. Argentina, Greece, Lebanon, all broken, all at a fraction of this number. This country is at 260% and still standing. And yet, bullet trains, 3% unemployment, people living past 90, the world still lends them money, happily. But it wasn't always like this. Japan once hit rock bottom, a crash so bad, experts said they'd never recover. They did, somehow. How? What did they do that everyone else couldn't? And is it finally starting to crack? This is Japan.
How Japan got here. Go back to the late 1980s. Japan was on top of the world. Its economy was the second largest on Earth. Tokyo real estate was so expensive, the land under the Imperial Palace was theoretically worth more than the entire state of California. Then it all collapsed. In 1989, the stock market peaked and crashed hard. Banks were left holding billions in bad loans. Sound familiar? It's almost identical to what America went through in 2008. Except Japan never fully recovered. For 30 years, Japan borrowed money every single year just to keep the economy alive. That's how you get to 260%. But here's where the story changes. Who actually owns the debt? Here's the thing about debt that almost nobody talks about. It's not just how much you owe, it's who you owe it to. Borrow money from a loan shark, that's terrifying. Borrow money from yourself, that's just moving money between pockets. Over 90% of Japan's debt is owned by Japanese people and Japanese institutions. The Bank of Japan, Japan's own central bank, Japanese pension funds, insurance companies holding the life savings of ordinary Japanese citizens. Compare that to Greece or Argentina, who owed most of their debt to foreign banks and the IMF. When they couldn't pay, foreign creditors had all the leverage. They demanded austerity, cut pensions, crashed the currency, took control. Japan doesn't have that problem. Japan owes its debt to itself. And on top of that, interest rates. Japan kept rates near zero for almost 30 years. The cost of carrying all that debt? Almost nothing. Think about it this way. A $500,000 mortgage at 0.1% interest. Your monthly payment is basically nothing. You're technically drowning in debt, but it costs you almost nothing to hold it. That's Japan. Enormous debt owed to itself at near zero cost for 3 decades. That's the Japan exception. Why it's starting to crack? But here's the catch. There is always a catch. This only works because Japanese people are historically some of the biggest savers in the world. They put money in Japanese banks. Banks buy Japanese government bonds. Government runs deficits. Interest flows back to Japanese institutions. Repeat. A closed loop. As long as it holds, the machine keeps running. But Japan is aging fast. One of the oldest populations on Earth. Fewer young workers, fewer savers. The loop starts to leak. And in 2022, something happened that hadn't happened in 30 years. Real inflation. The kind that forces central banks to raise rates. Every major central bank hiked. The US, Europe, Canada, Australia. Japan slowly followed, and the moment it did, the yen went into freefall. Traders who had been borrowing cheap yen for years suddenly started unwinding those bets, fast and hard. The 260% debt Japan had been quietly carrying for decades suddenly started getting expensive. And the room Japan has left to respond? Almost none. Japan isn't rich despite its debt. It's surviving because of 3 very specific conditions. It owes money to itself at near zero rates, backed by decades of public trust in its own institutions. Change any one of those 3 things, the picture looks completely different. The real lesson isn't that debt doesn't matter, it's that context is everything. It's like spending your entire paycheck every month with zero savings. Life looks completely normal until the car breaks down. Japan's car might be starting to make a noise. If you want to understand these stories before the headlines catch up, subscribe, because this is exactly the kind of thing mainstream media never explains properly.
See you in the next one. Till then, like the video and what your view, you can freely express yourself in comments. Peace out.